What is the most relentless force for change in modern economic life? It's the modern, large corporation. It's also the least understood force in our lives, or, to be exact, the most deliberately misunderstood. There's a corporate myth which is carefully, assiduously propagated, and there's the reality, and they bear little relation to each other. The corporate myth is of a disciplined, energetic, dedicated, but well-rewarded body of men serving under a dynamic leader. Leeds is always dynamic. His men carry out his orders or transmit them on to the minions below. This is the organization. The myth holds that the only purpose of the corporation is to make money by making things. It does well by doing good. It makes money by responding completely to the instruction of the market, and thus, ultimately, of the consumer. These are salesmen, but they are messengers, equerries, sent to discover the needs of their sovereign, the sovereign consumer. Paul A. Samuelson, the most distinguished economist of my generation, once put it this way: the consumer is, so to speak, the king. Each uses his votes to get things done the way he wants them done. We should think of the consumer, I believe, as someone very like ourselves, moved by voices within and without, including the eloquent outer voice of the modern corporation. The economist consumer, which I've always rejected, we see them here in caricature, is moved only by inner self to maximize the enjoyments of consumption. He, she gives great thought to consumer choice, tests all life, all welfare by the amount consumed, and is immune to exterior persuasion. It is the myth. Not even economists believe it when they go home at night. Not if they look at television. We know as well as others that corporations influence government, influence the consumer. Only the textbooks hold otherwise. This is one of the few matters in economics that you can test for yourself. You can ask yourself whether the advertising that dominates your vision, deafens your ears, has a purpose. Caught up in this world, we become part of it, unaware of its influence. The myth, the instruction which holds that the modern great corporation is the powerless servant of the market, and thus of the consumer and the society, is one of the ways by which corporate power is subdued in our consciousness and thus protected. We shouldn't be surprised. All education in all societies accepts, defends, protects the dominant institutions of that society. The sovereign, the Constitution, Parliament, the law, communism and the Soviet Union. That our economic education protects and defends the corporation should surprise no one. No two corporations are exactly alike. No two exercise power to precisely the same ends. A corporation in which scientists and engineers interact, IBM, ICI, will have somewhat different purposes from one like Revlon or Unilever, which survives at least partly by its skill in public persuasion. Some corporations measure success primarily by earnings. Others like to tell of their growth. Some speak of service and public responsibility. And if men speak often enough of their virtue, they may persuade themselves, at least a little, to its practice. There being no single typical corporation, we have invented one that tells something about all. It's called UGE. Our invention allows us to proceed far more easily to the reality, for corporation executives, as I've said, are custodians of the corporate myth. They are made uneasy by those who reject the myth. They regularly ask for assurance that a television program will not do so. Our corporation is Unified Global Enterprises, since 1954 known as UGE. Its history is the history of many firms, all alive and mostly thriving. UGE could be British, French, German, but since it's a source of both instruction and amusement, I thought it tactful that it be American, an American-based multinational. UGE will allow us to dissolve the corporate myth without too much solemnity, if you will allow. Then we shall look at a real, rather solemn corporation, also very successful. UGE, our company, began in food and beverages, is now big in chemicals, hotels, missile guidance systems, computer software, and the leisure industries. This is the UGE product family, the product mix, the world of UGE. So we welcome you to UGEX 80, the exhibition specially planned to document the 100-year history of UGE.
Hi, and welcome to UGEX 80. I'm your hostess. My name's Cindy.
And I'm Gene. Thank you for visiting UGEX. In 1980, we'll be celebrating 100 years of the UGE Corporation. 100 years of service to mankind. And that's the theme of this, our centennial exhibition. Have a good day now.
This was the founder of UGE, James Glow I. He came to the United States in 1873 from Greenock, Scotland, down the Clyde from Glasgow. James Glow was a man of action and enterprise, with the vision and foresight to found an empire.
In 1880, James Glow opened his first butcher shop in Chicago. By 1890, he was running a sizable meatpacking plant. By the end of the century, Glow Packing was fully established, along with Swift, Armour, Cudahy, and Wilson as one of the big five of the Midwest. On payday, every employee was given tracts from the Bible and pamphlets warning against indulgence in strong spirits, along with his money.
James Glow and his son were famous, their church interests aside, only for their close attention to business. They prided themselves on knowing all the family men by their first names. They were also noted for the work they could extract in the course of a normal 72-hour week and 12-hour day.
1898.
Glow Packing fed our boys in the Spanish-American War.
The historic embalmed beef of the Spanish-American War proved far more damaging to the participants than the misguided Spanish bullets. But it has never been shown that the Glow cans were appreciably more lethal than the industry average, and no other company learned the lesson so well. Always thereafter, the company emphasized quality in its merchandising and advertising. Glow sausages and canned meats from those years are still with us today. In Chicago, it was said, the packers used every part of the pig but the squeal. The Glows did better. They used ingredients that had never been near our carcass. For generations of Americans, Glow sausages have been the glow worms, an affectionate nickname derived originally from their shape, the company public relations department has often explained.
We salute the fine range of food produced by Glow Food and Beverage for over 80 years.
Breakfast food,
Corn tassel,
late barley,
health foods,
liver extracts.
mineral laxatives.
A whole new ball game to greet the 20th century, launched by James Glow Jr.
These nutritious foods owed much to an economical range of vegetable products, intelligently processed and flavored, that went originally into the sausages. These included oatmeal, cornmeal, cottonseed meal, wheat bran, and it was said, although never admitted, freshly milled sawdust. The greatest of all was Ugol.
The ingredients of Ugol remain a secret to this day.
It's the oil with 1,000 uses, praised from that very day in 1921, when America first bought
Ugol.
Wonder product, just warm oil for all. Sunburned, cracked, paint salad, the name is Ugol.
James Glow Jr., by now in his late 60s, was assertive, autocratic, jealous of his power. He was very, very angry with Roosevelt. And he was once carried out of his plant by a policeman for resisting a government order on collective bargaining. As might be expected, he was unwilling to relinquish the reins.
But there was light at the end of the tunnel.
A brighter fortune ahead.
Ujola!
In 1932, the company bought the trade name and syrup formula for what was to become Ujola.
The soft drink that gives you the lip.
This could have caused trouble. The beverage owed much of its popularity to its highly addictive qualities. Cocaine, it is now known. So, acting out of his deep religious convictions and seeing the handwriting of government regulation on the wall, James Glow Jr. eventually dropped the drug. But by then, the beverage was well established. For Glow Industries, as for many other firms, World War II was a time of great demand, great expansion, new horizons.
GIs march on C&K rations from Glow Industries.
Let's go. That's the attack. Let's stand by the ones who are man of the guns and pushing the foe on back. Let's all be good soldiers and back. Back the attack.
The soldiers consumed, this time with no noticeable peristaltic or other intestinal effects. More important, Glow Industries was persuaded by an army in need of managerial talent to take on a shell loading plant in downstate Illinois. It also organized logistics support for Quartermaster's food operations in the European Theater of Operations, the ETO. Thus, the wider horizons.
The way was paved for Harold McBean.
In 1952, Harold McBean took control of the corporation.
A philosophy of growth, constructive acquisitions, the American opportunity abroad, professional management, a partnership in government, responsibility for national security, sound labor management relations, profit with service, technology at the demand of the consumer, the nation's host, nutrition for a free people.
All these phrases are associated with the era of McBean and the talented young team that he brought with him to the company from the Pentagon and the Harvard Graduate School of Business Administration. It was time also for a name that did justice to the new horizons.
Glow. Glow Industries, Glow Packaging, Glow. Global. Global Industries. Global Enterprises. Unified.
Unified Global Enterprises. U-G-E. U-G-E.
The 50s and 60s were the golden years of UGE. This was the New York headquarters. The dominant theme of every age is reflected in the grandest of its structures: religion in the Middle Ages in the cathedrals, the emerging nation state in Versailles, the Industrial Revolution in the railroad stations, and the modern corporation in the skyscrapers.
That building is our signature. It spells one word in the sky. Huge.
Only the H is silent, McBean liked to say. McBean was the first of the professional managers. Arthur Francis Glow, the only male heir, after a brief experience in the company, had retired to California. His father had been called the last Glow. AF was called the afterglow. James Glow, on his death, had established the Glow Foundation for advancement of economic and political education and the essential principles of free enterprise. Much of the stock of the company went into the foundation. Arthur Francis sold more to cover the losses from his resort in the Caribbean, to pay alimony and property settlements to his two former wives, and for his own Institute of Erotic Art, a field in which he will be remembered as a pioneer in aesthetic achievement. By 1969, with the Glows gone, the corporation was seventh on the Fortune list of the 500 largest American industrials. In the annual report in that year, UGE noted that it had sales offices in 62 countries, substantial manufacturing or bottling operations in 54 countries. McBean had done well, very well.
Your management now directs a closely articulated, internally reinforced, highly dynamic enterprise, which responds well to the capabilities inherent in modern managerial methodology and systems. Well, thank you, Mr. Woods.
Harold McBean left UGE in 1969 to become Deputy Secretary of Defense. Company earnings, reflecting the favorable effects from the consolidation and revaluation of intercorporate holdings and other creative accounting, had reflected their 16th straight annual gain. The stock was at its all-time high. Since the Glow family had by now sold most of their interest and new stock issues had paid for the acquisitions, no individual now owned as much as 1% of the UGE voting stock. So where does the power lie? Traditionally, in an American company, with the board of directors. The members of the board are the voice of the owners, the stockholders. For UGE, the ultimate authority. This, too, is part of the myth. The average age is now 67. They meet for 2 hours every 2 months and ratify decisions that have already been taken and which several do not understand. None has ever opposed management on any matter of importance. To their ranks have recently been added a black clergyman, a consumer advocate, and a socially concerned nun. All the others were earlier selected by Harold McBean. Their election was highly predictable. They were voted in by proxies returned automatically for the management slate. The owners and directors have no power. Who then runs the show? For the answer, we go to the centerpiece of the Centennial Exhibition. The new headquarters built to house UGE in the 80s. It's 105 stories high, was the winner of a dozen design awards, including 2 that were funded by UGE itself. The new skyscraper will house the great and diverse and talented group of men that now, happily for it, is the UGE Command. Some years ago, I gave this organization a name, the Technostructure. Harold McBean, when he went to the Pentagon, was succeeded by Howard J. Small, Executive Vice President for Corporate Operations. Howie, as he is known in the firm, commands approximately the same salary as did McBean, $812,000 plus stock options, deferred compensation, and pension rights. Unlike the Glows and Harold McBean, Howie is not well known outside the firm. He's a 2-pack smoker, drinks on occasion to keep going, and were he a vital factor in the firm, his heart condition would be the source of the gravest concern. The Dow Jones wide tape would carry his electrocardiogram and his latest lung x-ray. In fact, no one in Wall Street gives Howard J. Small's health the slightest thought. It is taken for granted that power resides not with Howie, but in the technostructure. At the center of the technostructure are the chairman, president, executive vice president, council, a formidable array. The myth is of a hierarchy, all power coming down from these men at the top. The reality is of circles, concentric circles, with power flowing between them. And that is the corporation's greatest source of strength. Howie Small, as president, is at the center of the circle. In the first ring are his executive vice presidents and the senior home office staff. In the next ring are the heads of the companies and subsidiaries at home and abroad. In the third ring are those men whose technical and specialized knowledge contributes to decision. Engineers, scientists, advertising specialists, sales managers, dealer relations men, designers, more lawyers, more lobbyists, economists, controllers, and the men who understand the computer. Next beyond are the white-collar workers. Next are those who supervise production. And in the final outer ring are the blue-collar workers.
Let us now concentrate our minds fully on the future. Thank you.
In the inner rings of UGE, there is the power that proceeds from position, from rank. In the outer rings, there is the power that proceeds from skills and from numbers and from union organization.
Hiya, men.
There is power in every ring, power that goes with command, with knowledge, or with organization.
Where do we go next?
A New Yorker drawing by Charles Adams got it right. In the modern corporation, there are no great men, only great committees. We see, I think, the error in viewing the firm as a pyramid, with all power passing down from the top. What the corporation does and achieves is the product of the intense interaction between the outer rings and the center. But it's time to enter reality to see the technostructure at work in a real corporation, Philips, the Dutch multinational. UGE is a composite and a caricature, both larger and smaller than life. For reality, we go to Eindhoven, a city of 190,000 people, a couple of hours' drive south and east of Amsterdam. In 1944, it had its moment of history. It was taken by Montgomery's armies when the further jump to Arnhem proved a bridge too far. Since 1891, Eindhoven has been the headquarters of Philips. A look at Philips begins also with an exhibition, the Evaluation. Here, the children of Eindhoven are brought to see the achievements and promise of technology in general, and of Philips in particular. Philips in 1974 was ranked 5th by Fortune among the industrial corporations outside the United States and 16th among all corporations in the world. This was from sales of electrical goods and other technical hardware of $9.5 billion, employment in some 60 countries of 412,000 people. Here's an artist's conception of Philips. He, too, sees power proceeding out from a circle. Here in Eindhoven, the Philips presence is still a powerful thing. Workers in the firm still live in intimate association. They unite in music. The Philips band plays the Philips March. There are only two ways, it's an old saying in Eindhoven, to be fired from Philips: to shoot the chairman of the company or to molest the coffee girl. The first is recommended, but the second will soon be found out. The Glows have long since gone from UGE, and nobody is sorry. In the more durable Dutch tradition, there is still a Philips on the Philips board. The memory of Anton Philips, the founder, the old man, is maintained by this monument. The artist thought it wise to sacrifice form, and maybe also beauty, for substance.